why. Ask me why I'm on my floor. Actually don't, because I have a video coming out next month in which I will explain and show you everything that's happening in this room right now. But just for your knowledge, it is not empty. It is just this one corner and I need the space today. This video has been a long time coming. I have done a big makeup I have done a big makeup clean out on my channel before, but today's is really gonna get real because, well, I have a couple of embarrassing things to share with you. First, I have lived in my new house for 9 months now, and I have not actually unpacked nearly all of my makeup. Second thing is, quite a large percentage of the makeup that I literally chose to pack and bring into this home is very old. And when I say very old, I mean as old as 10 years. I have finally realized and decided that that is unacceptable, and so is having a giant drawer set full of makeup in bubble wrap. All of this is very unacceptable to me. It's just, I finally have the mental capacity to think about and deal with it. What I've been doing for the past 9 months, probably a little bit more since I packed my makeup early, is I packed some of the things that I use day to day and just the more usable and versatile products. I packed into a makeup bag and I have been using all the makeup out of that bag, and that's basically the only makeup I've touched. I've kind of come in here occasionally for different lipstick options, but past that, it's really just been a makeup bag full of stuff. And if I can survive this long on a single makeup bag of product, there is no need for the giant drawer set. And when I recently revamped my channel, one of the things I mentioned is that my lifestyle has changed a lot. Part of that is that I don't really wear makeup every single day anymore, which naturally means I'm going to be using less. So my ultimate goal today, slash however long this takes, is I want to get rid of enough makeup so that I don't need the big drawer set, because I could use that organization for other things. But I also want to make sure that the stuff that I choose to keep is vegan and cruelty-free, at least cruelty-free, with a list of things to find dupes for if I want vegan slash cruelty-free versions of them. This isn't making any sense. Let's try that one more time. 1, I would like the makeup I keep to be cruelty-free and vegan wherever possible, and for the products that I have that are not cruelty-free or vegan but I like, I'm going to keep them only for the reasoning of finding a dupe. So that's number 1. Number 2, we need to get rid of the crusty, dusty makeup I have. That is from 2012. That's disgusting. 3, this is part of an overall trend in my life that I'm kind of going through right now. It kind of has started with my clothes, hence the very professional attire I have on today. I only have this on because I just went outside to dinner in the cold, so I don't know why I'm wearing a jacket. Anywho. There's sort of a trend going on in my life right now. I just turned 30. It's very exciting. I'm very happy to be in my 30s. And part of that for me means shedding the things that I no longer need in my life. And so that has been starting in my closet, and it will be continuing in my makeup closet. Okay, Maya, can you not, please? There's literally nothing in there. Ma'am. Okay, so I'm pulling up my notes because here are some things we're going to do. I'm going to have 4 piles. One of them will be a keep pile. One of them will be a rebuy pile, which is things that are super old and expired, but I love them and I want to repurchase. Third pile is to find a dupe. So it's either old or it's not cruelty-free or vegan, and I want to find a dupe for it that is cruelty-free and vegan and not 10 years old. Fourth pile is toss. And so what I want to do with these 4 piles is not only figure out my life, but it will give me a good sense of proportionally how much I had been clinging on to, and even just how much I think I'm going to keep and use for the rest of my life. Not the rest of my life, oh my god, no. Don't give me any ideas if I keep makeup for 10 years. Thankfully, I have all of this space to work with today, so I'm going to go ahead and get started on my piles of makeup and probably put on maybe a slightly comfier sweatshirt. I don't know, we'll see. time for the super fun math of everything. So I ended up tossing 156 items, which is pretty mind-blowing considering I just did a big sort of makeup clean out a couple of years ago. And then when I was moving, I tossed a few things here and there as well. So I was pretty shocked to know that first off, I still had that many products, but that's just the toss pile. And now for the rebuy pile. This one was interesting because I initially set aside 36 items to repurchase. So what I wanted to do was gather all those items, write them down so I would remember and have a shopping list to go for, and then I wanted to just give you an estimate of how much that would cost to rebuy all those items. Well, when I was looking into all of those items to repurchase, many of them were so old that the items either do not exist anymore or the entire brands have shut down. The reality check it gave me to know that so many of the items could not even be repurchased anymore just really goes to show how disgustingly old all my makeup is. So the rebuy pile went from 36 items to 15 items. And that's not because I changed my mind. That is solely because I cannot rebuy those exact same items. The silver lining here is 15 items is a much more reasonable shopping list, and I'm not going to get all of them right away, but the total cost for those 15 items to repurchase was about $300, and that was when I would opt for a smaller travel size where possible, because I don't think I'm going to be buying a lot of full-size products anymore wherever I can help it. And now for the find a dupe pile. This is another one I was worried I would be inflated. I think I was concerned starting this process that I would use the rebuy and dupe piles as like, I'm not ready to throw this away yet, I'm just gonna put things here and hope for the best. Thankfully, I was able to toss most of it and my need to dupe pile was only 39 items. That's still quite a number of items to have to painstakingly go out and find dupes for, but it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Now, how much did I choose to keep? I know those other numbers were important, but they're kind of meaningless if I decided to keep like 400 things. Thankfully, I am only keeping 97 items, but 29 of those 97 items are completely brand new, unopened. So in terms of items I've actually opened and used, it's a lot closer to 68 items. I think I did math. Did I do math? I started a giveaway pile during the process because I realized I had some pretty nice products that were brand new that I didn't want, but why would I toss them when I have friends and family who might use them? So I put away 16 items aside to offer to friends and family as I see them, and that feels really good because, you know, I want to use the unopened items that I own, but the other items deserve to be loved and used as well, and I hope they find very good homes. Something that I didn't count in my toss pile was all of the makeup samples I had. So anything that wasn't a sort of fancy deluxe sample, but were those, you know, piece of paper with blobs of makeup on them that you get when you order a package, I tossed all of them. I thought about going through and looking at them, but honestly, a lot of those were probably so old, and I don't know, I don't really find those samples to be useful anyway. And now when I order makeup, I no longer request any samples, and if there's an option to say, please don't send me any, I will select it because I don't really find that fun anymore. But I did have quite a few samples still just hanging around that, again, I literally consciously packed and moved into this new house, which makes no sense, but whatever. Now that this is over, what's really interesting about this process is I thought that I'd be really hyper-focused on the money aspect of it, of, you know, how much money did I waste, how much money am I setting myself up to spend to sort of refill some of the gaps in my collection. But honestly, I just feel so good. I feel so free. I feel like I have space to explore. I am finally just shedding all of those items that, like, that clutter, even if you're not consciously looking at it or thinking about it, it takes up space in your brain. And all these products are things that I bought over my basically entire 20s. It feels really refreshing to know what I have and to see so much empty space in my drawers. For the first time in my life, I don't feel like I have the urge to fill that empty space. In fact, I was a little bit bummed that I used so many of the drawers, even though I don't have that much makeup in them, like the lipstick drawers in particular. Gosh, if you've been following my channel or my blog for a long time, you will know how wild it is that when you open the liquid lipsticks, there's like 4 items in there. It's just, it is so weird to me, but I don't feel that urge to be like, I need to refill it right away. And yes, I am keeping sort of more of the items than I put in those drawers. Like the items that I'm going to dupe or that I'm going to repurchase, they are still sitting around. I just didn't put them in the dedicated drawers yet because I want to encourage myself to actually go through this process genuinely and rebuy or dupe the things that I wanted to rebuy or dupe. I felt like if I sort of put them back where they belonged, then they would just become part of my collection again. It's been obvious for, you know, my whole life that the beauty industry exists by having lots of variety and by encouraging you to buy and having new releases all the time and new products and pretty packaging. And you really get kind of sucked into that world. And even for, you know, the few years that I was really sort of in the beauty world like I still wasn't that bad in terms of like spending all my money and getting everything I wanted. I still tried to be very smart about what I was looking at. I was strategic about when and how much I was buying. But I really could have let that guard down at any point and gotten sucked into a pretty crazy lifestyle. And even though I did try very hard to think through and plan these purchases, I still spent thousands and thousands of dollars in the first half of my 20s just building up this crazy large makeup collection. So I don't know, I was really thinking as I was putting everything away about how we talk a lot about fast fashion in terms of like, you know, people buying a lot of clothes that they will wear a handful of times and will break, or just buying excess of stuff. But I feel like makeup is sort of like, there's a sort of fast makeup side of this industry as well, where you're encouraged to buy all these items and treat them as disposable, whether they just become outdated in terms of the packaging or the colors, or they just want you to just treat it as disposable even if it's not. Even if you only use that lipstick 4 times, they're going to try and convince you that you need 4 more of them. So I was asking myself, how does one even be a smart consumer in the way that this industry is set up? Because, you know, even as I'm sitting here telling you that I try very hard to be a smart consumer, I'm still over here with over 100 items in my makeup collection, which for any reasonable human being, especially one who only wears makeup maybe a few times a month, I don't necessarily need that many items. I think the best thing we can really do is just try not to let that norm of buy affect us. Like, I no longer subscribe to a lot of different beauty Instagram pages. I do subscribe to some, but I honestly scroll through them as if they're ads. Like, the way that my brain kind of looks at them is different now. But, you know, I've removed myself from a lot of that. I don't watch nearly as many beauty YouTubers anymore, and the ones that I still do watch show a lot more of their lives than just makeup hauls nowadays. So I feel like I'm trying to give myself a more rounded view in terms of the content that I subscribe to and show up for, so that I'm not just getting tunnel vision, because I think that really happens, especially on YouTube, is that you end up in this tunnel vision of only watching these beauty YouTubers. They're all talking about sometimes the same products or the same launches, or even then they're just talking about more and more and more, and they're showing their hauls and it looks so fun and they have this lifestyle and they're showing tutorials. And I think just slowing down that trickle of content into a much smaller drip and expanding your world around it is like the first step. And I think it's important too that when there are exciting launches coming up or brands doing cool, unique things, like, I think it's okay to enjoy it and like it and want the things and plan those purchases, but plan is the operative word here. I think the impulse buy is where things get really dangerous. But if you know, for example, with the annual Sephora sale, you know about what time of year it's coming, you know what the discount is going to be. If you just spend a little bit of time thinking through what you want to get before that sale starts, that's going to be a lot better of a time for you, and you're probably going to have a much healthier relationship with the beauty industry than if you just go in blind and just start grabbing everything that you want or anything that catches your eye. And you know, just remembering that marketing is marketing, right? Like, when you are looking at some sort of launch coming up, or you're seeing an Instagram ad, or you're, you know, somehow part of seeing something new that's coming out that's really exciting and it seems like this is a big deal, I don't know, for me, I just like to take a few deep breaths and, you know, spend a little time away from it. And I find that if I continue to think about the thing for a long enough time, then I feel a lot more comfortable and confident going in and buying that thing later than if I'm just sort of going off the cuff. Space always helps with these kinds of purchases, and that's something that I've done with clothing as well, or even just like Amazon orders. I feel like Amazon is also super addicting, but I will fill up my cart or save a bunch of items to a wish list, and then I will close it, walk away, don't think about it as much as I can for a few days. And I find that after a few days, I won't even remember at least half, if not 3/4 of the things that I'd had on my list. And if I looked at them again, I'd want them again. But the fact that I had taken the space and I no longer even remember what I had wanted, just is like a nice perspective shift to be like, oh, okay, so maybe I actually only need to buy 1/4 of what I put on that list. If there's that 1 or 2 things that you can't stop thinking about, again, you just go into that purchase feeling a lot more confident because you know that you really want it. I just can't even imagine how bad this would have been had I really gotten sucked into a lot of the things that I was already sort of down that road on before. I'm trying not to think about that too much because, like, what's the point? But I'm just having these moments of like, oh my god, the panic this would have been if I was sorting through like 4,000 or 5,000 items instead of the, you know, 250 or 300, under 300 items I sorted through, and that was already hard enough. I'm just very grateful that I gave myself the time to spend on this and I came in with an open mind. I feel like I walked away just having a totally different takeaway than I imagined. I think just really having that empowered feeling of knowing what I actually own and being able to find what I need quickly is like all the benefit I could have ever asked for in making this video. So if you're sitting there looking at a pile of stuff that you've had in your life for at least 4 or 5 years, it might be time to go through something like this too. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!